Oh, great, we're on.
Hey guys,
we're live.
Welcome to Curious Endeavourances Book Club, back after a brief hiatus with a new member. And in case you haven't seen us before, we are the book club that reads anything and everything. We have an online Goodreads page and a book blog and all that fun stuff that you can check out. I will post links below on the YouTubes. Okay, before we get started, we have our regular hosts, Ashley Newell.
Hello. I'm multitasking.
And Rupert.
He's also multitasking.
They're Julianne Wilson.
Hi.
And I'm Caitlin Perry with the horrendous leg.
Blame Parisian Wi-Fi.
I do blame Parisian Wi-Fi. I don't know how to speak anymore, and I apologize. So this one's pick was my pick, The Elfstones of Shannara by Terry Brooks, as I almost knocked my glasses off.
If that actually will show.
Keep rotating. Read it. Yeah.
Gotta love technology.
We all have various versions in various states of being. Picked it because the Shannara series, the Shannara Chronicles, came out this year. Very excited. I have not watched a single episode because I've been too busy.
You aren't the only one.
I've watched the whole thing.
And I hate you. I guess, how do we normally do this, guys? Jump right in. What did you think? What do you think? What are you currently thinking?
I read 60 pages. So
Yeah,
I think
that was
this
how we did it.
you're done with the last one we read. I had a cranky boy. I tried reading Sword of Shannara because I haven't read any of the trade book series. And Sword was really painful for me to get through. so
I
far,
don't know what you're talking about.
I'm so tired. He's eating his hand. He's happy.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yes.
Oh, to be so young when things were so simple. Actually, I totally understand Ashley on the painful to get through thing, because it's really funny. I watched the TV series and I read the book, and I did it both kind of at the same time, which was maybe not the best choice. And I did find that I loved the story, but I really don't like Terry Brooks' writing style at all. The writing was very long-winded, and so it was a bit of a challenge to read. And it was really interesting because this is definitely one of the cases where I like the TV show better, just because it stripped away a lot of the extra wordiness. But I don't know. I did like the book. I just found myself in the very strange position of liking the TV show better, which I didn't expect.
There was one thing about reading the Sword of Shannara is that despite all of the descriptions, it didn't help me visualize any of it. Like, yes, I'm acknowledging all the words, but nothing played out for me.
And I wonder if my having read it younger, because I love them both still just as much as I loved them when I read them 13, 14, however many years ago, however old I am. Because then I had no problem and read them very quickly, and I did the same rereading. But I reread both of them, but I can't remember rereading it. Sword was December. But rereading Elfstones, I definitely felt it in the beginning. I was struggling for like the first 50 or so pages. It's like, oh God, it's so much description. You're talking about so many things. I don't care. And then I got 50 pages in, and we knew Bill, and suddenly it's like, how do I describe it? Suddenly, they spend the first 50 pages like, oh, the tree can't be dying. Is the tree dying? There can't be demons. Are there demons? Oh, there's demons. Oh, shit. And then suddenly it's just like, oh, this is actually happening. We should probably fix this. And then it's just like, then for me, it was very, all the things have to happen now.
It definitely did pick up once Will was actually introduced. That was helpful. Because, yeah, the first 50 to 60 pages very much felt like, oh, when is something going to happen?
Well, then the story itself takes place over only a couple of weeks or something. Like, it happens pretty quickly.
Mm.
So they have to do a lot really, really fast.
That's true, actually, which is funny, because if I had to guess, I would say it took way longer than that based on the book.
Yeah.
Based on the TV series, I can see how it was a very quick, like, bang, 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 do this, do this, do this, like, fix everything as fast as possible. But with the book, just because of the way that the writing was so drawn out, I probably would have guesstimated longer. But,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it did feel longer than that. And then they're like, but you're like, it feels longer. You're like, guys, this problem is happening right now. You should be moving faster. And then you realize, like, oh, they are moving faster. But oh my god, I have notes somewhere. Okay, but
no, they're good.
Okay. So these are themes that we find in lots of these nice epic fantasy books.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, Al-Anon. He was my first druid, guys. I remember reading it, and this is something you'll both know because of course he was in both books. He has a really short temper. Like, he just gets so frustrated and so irritated really quickly. And then I thought about him compared to, like, the other wise magical beings we see in these stories, like Gandalf, for instance.
Yeah. Who is much more chill.
He is much more chill, but then when he does, at least in the TV, yeah. Or like, yeah, so I was just like was thinking about him in comparison to these other, and I was trying to think of others. I guess like Dumbledore might be one. Not so much an adventure, but
back in his day, probably.
oh, for sure.
Well, that's one thing that's actually also quite interesting is that because in TV land, of course, they always try to make everybody younger and more attractive. I feel like they aged down the appearance of Al-Anon a lot.
No, what?
And so reading the book threw me off a little bit because he seems older in the book, and I'm just like, what? I wasn't expecting that.
Ancient.
Again, issues with watching the TV series and reading the book literally at the same time. And
well,
they're not in the greatest harmony, quite frankly.
But on the other hand, they age Amberly up a lot in the TV series. Like, I haven't watched it, but if you look at pictures, like in the book, she's supposed to be a really young girl. Like, everyone else was pretty on par, because, like, Will is, he went to the stores as a young adult, so, like, 20-something, okay, sure. But Amberly, they always, like, child face, young girl.
Which honestly threw me off, because since Will is actually supposed to be, like, a grown man, and they keep describing Amberly as, like, very childish, I found the dynamic between them in the book a little bit weird.
That's fine.
Especially watching a TV show where they amp up that, like, I don't want to say too much because you haven't watched the TV show yet.
No, that's fine. Okay,
actually,
well,
one thing that actually got to me, because watching the TV show, Eritrea, I don't know how you say her name, but that's how they say it. I'm just going with that explanation because I looked at it and was like, Era, what now? Okay, Eritrea. I can say that. In the book, I actually it's funny because I like her character in the TV show and I like her character in the book. The character in the book is so much nicer than the character in the TV show. She's so much more devious in the TV show, and it's kind of fun to watch. But at the same time, reading the book, I was like, oh, that makes more sense, that she would actually be a little bit nicer and more loyal.
Yeah. But how about, like, if you want to go back to the Amberly Will thing, like, just as a broader scope, not specifically those characters, but the dynamic of, you know, an older man and a younger girl. Especially because she is a young girl. It'd be different if they were both adults with that same age. Like, and that's the thing, right? That same age discrepancy when they're both adults versus her being, like, they don't tell you how old she is, but you know, she's a young girl.
Well, that kept throwing me off because she's an elf, and elves live longer, right? So in my brain, I was like, okay, she has a child face, but that doesn't tell us how old she is. Like, maybe she just looks young because she's a young elf. I don't
Her
know.
grandfather is in his. It mentions at some point in the book.
Is in his what?
80s.
Okay.
Eventeen is in his 80s.
So then she's
Is it
probably actually somewhere around Will's age then, right?
Or no,
Sorry,
no, I can't.
Sorry?
Just because I'm only writing those early chapters, so I was trying to remember when it said the 80s, and first I was thinking that it said 80 years between their adventure, but that doesn't work with the envelope book thing. So,
Yeah,
right.
no, it's 50 years between their adventure. Yes. 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 50, 30? Eventeen is 80. I know that much. I just remember being surprised that an elf was under 100, like such an old. But he's old by experience, not by time, right?
Well, and that's what I wonder because I know that in this, you know, in this setup in this world, the elves have lost pretty much all of their magic, right? Which then suggests like maybe they also lost some of their longevity. Because I always think of elves as like I think elves. I think Lord of the Rings, like old.
Well, okay, so think of them as like Lord of the Rings elves back when the world was more like that, maybe. Because he does say, I don't. Oh God, how much is it described in this
Well, that's
one?
the thing. Like once upon a time, they would have had that longevity, but now maybe they don't.
I can't remember which book it's in, but so we're all on the same page. I'm pretty sure it's in Elfstones. I think it actually gets alluded to in both. But basically, the elves are the only race remaining from the time of fairy. All current dwarves, gnomes, trolls are actually humans that were altered by.
We see that in the first book.
It is, yeah. Okay.
It's in
thought it was.
Elfstones too.
Yeah, it's in both. So, I don't know about their longevity, but I mean, Eventeen is he goes to war. He's 80, so I feel like they still maintain quite a bit of the longevity, even if it's not maybe hundreds of years. It's still.
Well, to me, it's like they live a good, long human life, basically.
Yeah,
like they don't
longer
go
than
much beyond that.
Yeah,
like just like a tiny bit longer, maybe.
When you're thinking our human life, when I'm sure the humans in this world don't live that long.
80? Yeah, they do.
Like, depending where you live.
You don't think so? Oh, you're saying humans in that. Well,
well, because
how old
even
was
though
that guy, though? Wasn't that guy that old?
Click.
The guy that he meets at the end, Hebel,
Click.
wasn't he?
Oh, Isn't Hebel a dwarf? Wait, what? Who's Hebel? Hebel was an elf.
The guy near the end with the dog.
Okay,
Is he an elf?
No, he's
Really?
not an elf. Sorry, I was thinking of the furry weirdo.
Oh, what was his name? Whiff something?
Wisp.
Wisp. There you go, Wisp. I just read this. I should know this. Wisp made me think of a Harrier Dobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Hebel was human and he was old, right?
Yeah.
Or did
But
he just feel
but he was,
old and he was actually only like 40? I
I
don't
think the
know.
difference is that Hevel was old, but he was actually old, whereas Evantine was the same age, let's say, was also old by age, but he wasn't old until the end, until after everything had happened to him.
Mm, that's fair.
He still went in and fought battles. Like he
Yeah.
was still not quite as sprightly as in Sword, for instance.
Understandable, given it was 50 years earlier.
Yeah. Don't care what's been done to me. Let's just go get this over with.
Actually, one totally random thing is I honestly kind of wonder why. This is going to sound like a really funny comment, I'm sure, but I wonder why the book was called Elfstones. Because I get that the Elfstones were important, but they weren't as important as I would have expected them to be, considering they were the title of the book.
The first few books, he tends to name them after artifacts that are relevant
Like the
to the
magical
story.
object.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, it makes sense on a publication standpoint because the sword and the Elfstones were both very important in the first book. So to get readership knowledge of this
Okay.
series, right? It was about the sword, now the Elfstones. Oh, I remember what that was about in the first book. So at least it would be a tie in that way. Because of how
That makes
important.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I haven't read the first book. So I was like, what? Why? That makes sense now. Oh,
I
I'm
did
curious.
the
Because we
first
really
one.
didn't see that much of the Elfstones in the second book.
Yeah, well, but I don't want to spoil. So many spoilers. So many spoilers.
I I don't care if you spoil books for me.
I feel like there's only so much you can do to avoid spoilers.
I mean,
Go for it, spoil
I
it.
mean, spoiling the other books, not the current book. Let's
Go for
just
it.
say the use of the Elfstones have a profound impact on the character who utilizes them and his predecessors.
And his predecessors? Okay.
Nope. What's the word? The descendants. That's the one. That's the. I can English.
Okay, I was going to say on his predecessors, but...
I can English.
Descendants. Okay, so that makes more sense. So
I
Will's
got it.
having used the Elfstones has an effect on his eventual children slash grandchildren slash descendants.
So many spoilers.
Okay.
Yes. But basically, I think
But
too
he
with the
didn't use them
Elfstones,
that much.
he didn't. But he used them when he did use them, especially at the end. He used them several times. And the thing with the Elfstones is that they utilize. I mean, any magic utilizes something from the person. Like it takes from the person using them, right? Any magic draws from the user. So with how much he was using it at the end, especially when he had to keep breaking down that wall of his humanity, right? Because it's elven magic. So it was like he kept saying it felt weird. Something kept, he had to keep breaking the barrier to use them. Like it became kind of a forced thing, and then he had to use it so much at the end, even though he only used them a couple times, like a couple scenes. It I don't know.
That was true. He did use them a lot at the end.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, so Ashley, you're fine with spoilers? Because then I kind of want to be like, that ending, the thing with Amberly, the ending, that was...
So I usually don't remember it, right?
Sorry.
Pardon?
I'm the goldfish, so I usually don't remember anyway.
Yes, let's talk about that ending. That I very... I knew it was
that
coming.
was the part that I hit where I was like, well, and it was funny because once again, I watched it in the TV series before I actually saw it in the book, or read it in the book. And I definitely, because of that, I picked up on the hints. But had I not seen it in the TV show, I don't know if I would have picked up on the hints ahead of
There's
time
no hints.
until
The only hint you
like
get
because
in the
the
book,
only hint
yeah,
is when she's actually in the Bloodfire, and
yeah,
like she's like it was her all along, and it's like.
well, and the thing is, the only other kind
That's
of
the only
hint
one in
you
the book.
get.
There's no
No,
other hint.
the only other kind of thing you get is when Al-Anon at the beginning is reading the books at Paranor, and he's like, "Ooh,
And he decides to keep something secret, but it doesn't get what.
exactly." And that's so that's so mystical leader like
Yeah,
Gandalf
that's
or
the only other
Dumbledore.
thing.
Or, it's like I'm not going to tell them. They don't need to know this. Nope. If they
Yeah,
knew it, they wouldn't do it.
Dumbledore. Yes, the boy must die. I don't need to tell him that.
Well, if you tell him, he won't do it, or he'll do it out because it wasn't chosen. So with with Amberly, it's basically steps into the Bloodfire right near the end, and is like, "Oh, it's me," and then like you're basically as shocked as Will because she's like, "Peace, I'm gonna go turn into the tree now." Spoilers.
Yeah, basically. I'm just gonna go turn into a tree now. No big deal. You're like, what? Where did that come from? I don't. What?
I am the seed.
I wouldn't have. Didn't see that coming. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
At the same time, this part of me like actually really likes that was a twist, but I really wish that there had been a little bit more build up to it because that would have been really cool to be like hinted at a little bit through the book and be like, wait, what? No. And then actually have that happen rather than just like, bam, oh, she's a tree. What?
Especially when you were totally shipping them. Like
I know, right?
Like 13-year-old Caitlin was totally shipping them. Like,
yes, exactly.
Will and Amberly. And then she turns into a tree.
And then she turns into a tree.
And then Eritrea or whatever.
Strangest way to resolve a love triangle ever. One of them turns into a tree.
Yeah. It's so Greek.
Yeah. Yeah. That part I definitely, yeah. I was like, what is going on? What? And just like in the book, in the TV series, there's no hint until she's actually in the Bloodfire, and it's like, wait, what? But they also, no, I can't say that. I keep wanting to be like, but they did this. And I'm like, no, I don't want to spoil it. Because there's actually stuff in the TV series I feel like I would spoil. And that's how different the TV series was from the book, is that there's actually stuff that, like, they changed a fair amount.
I don't care. I know.
I think you'll love it anyways. It was really well done.
Yeah. It's fine. Totes fine. I can't read my own handwriting, guys. I'm sorry.
You're on your way to a medical.
Been there. I've totally been
It's
there.
getting worse. It's so bad. It's getting worse.
That's
okay.
one of those things that I find funny is my like 9.5-year-old little sister writes better than I do.
Yeah.
Way better than I do.
Yeah. I can read one of my notes, and I remember what it references.
Way better. It's sad.
Sorry,
go ahead.
It's like near the beginning, I think, when they're like saying like, oh no, Will has to go with Amberly, and Al-Anon is totally like, guys, he can do this. I trust him. He's totally got this. And Will's like, okay. Like, you know when someone talks you up a lot, like if you're at a party, that's what it reminded me of when someone's like, oh yeah, they're so great, they do this, this, and this, and they should tell you all about it, and you're like, what? No. What? No. No. No.
You're like, guys, no.
No.
Yeah. Well, that was one thing that was a weird balance, too, because it was hard to tell whether Al-Anon was just saying that because Will was quite literally the only option, or I don't know. I wondered at that.
let's be honest a minute. Will
But
could
I
have
also
gifted
wondered
the
at the whole
stones.
I must stay behind and protect the elves thing.
I don't know.
Pardon?
Will could have gifted the stone. Okay, so the stones work because they only work if they're given to you freely. He could have just given them to
Yes.
another elf.
So we could have gifted them to. Yes.
It's not the sword of Shannara. It doesn't have to be the blood of a Shannara to work. They're elf stones.
There's part of me that wants to be like, he could have just given them to Amberly and then she could have taken care of herself.
She could not take care of herself. She could not take care of herself. That girl was a mess.
Which bugged me, quite frankly. I like the Amberly in the TV series way better because she's stronger.
I did like I preferred
Yeah.
Amberly when I was younger, but I definitely preferred Eritrea now that I'm older because she can take care of her. Like it's kind of weird because her
Yeah.
father owns her. Like the whole
Yeah.
the rover thing.
Mm.
Women are
Rover
property.
thing, yeah.
Yeah. But she was.
But she can take care of herself.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Yeah, no. I definitely, in the book, I definitely liked Eritrea better than Amberly. Way better. So much better. And I felt very bad for her. The number of times that Will kept being like, no, you can't come with us. No, you can't come with us. No, not going to tell you what's going on. Like, nope, nope, nope. And then they're actually, like, in Safehold, and he's like, oh, I guess I should tell you what's going on.
Yeah. But on the other hand, you're on a super secret dangerous mission. You invite a completely random person with you. She's like, I'm gonna marry you one day.
They invited the Wing Rider.
Yeah, but he gave them a lift.
She saved Will's life. More than once.
Like, look at it from his perspective. She was totally, like, I loved her. She's totally useful. But you're on a super secret mission no one can know about because there are demons after you, and they're probably going to kill everyone else in the way. And you're trying to save the world. And this girl just keeps saying, you don't know yet, but you're mine. Take me with you.
True. That part would be a little bit weird.
Yeah. How would you react when she keeps trying to, like, bathe you and undress you?
Fair.
It's creepy.
Possibly. See, that's something I know. It's really frustrating for me. Like, I almost wish that I had, not even almost, I wish I had read the book before I watched the TV series because I keep getting the different versions of the characters tangled. Mm-hmm. And so Eritrea is much less creepy in the TV series at the beginning. She makes a lot more sense. I don't know.
I imagine so.
Also, I did love that the TV series actually gave a better visual because, like, Ashley, you commented, like, there was a lot of wordiness in the books, but it didn't really actually turn into a lot of good visual. Like, most of the... I skipped most of that, quite frankly. I'd get to a descriptive passage and just be like, next.
I know as writers...
kind of confusing for me is when there were new characters. Oh, good.
Sorry. As writers, I know we always are given that show don't tell mantra over and over again. And I have to say, Terry Brooks, especially these early books, is the first prime example where I see where people go wrong with it. Because like there is a lot of tell, very little show.
I will say, and I'm pretty sure we can see this in our own work. It gets much better further in the series. Obviously, his books get a lot more concise. There's still a lot of description as part of the style, but they definitely get a lot more like there's more dialogue, there's more action, and there's a lot more showing.
Well, I'm already seeing a difference between the first book and the second book, and again, I'm only 60 pages in, but the tone from the beginning is already more natural narrative than the I kind of think of it as a template narrative from the first book. So it's very formulaic. So at least there's a couple of characters in the first 60 pages of Elfstones where I'm like, I actually have a feeling of who you are as a person. I went through the entire book of Sword and don't feel like I know any of them as a person.
Mm,
And
yeah, I get that. Oh, that's another thing, the naming thing. He kept referring to them by their full names or by the Elven Girl or the Valesman, and it drove me bonkers.
so he does that a lot with
I'm
the
like, we know
referring
their
to.
names. Can you just use their names?
He does a lot. He does, and I feel like he still does this in his later books. Is refer to them by where they're from, or like so. There's the Borderman, the Southlander, the Leah Man, the Leah Man. I love me some Leah Man. This book did not have any that. Manion's not my favorite though, from the first book. Yeah, he does do that a lot, but I had my own stupid struggles. The names were just like close enough to other names I knew of actual people, but not quite, and it kept throwing me off.
Oh.
Like Arian instead of Orion, or like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, what threw me off is just that it's really hard, and it actually is interesting because Ashley, you made the comment about how you got through all of Sword and didn't feel like you knew the characters. That's interesting because I felt like that the way that he used their names and constantly referring to them like as the Elven Girl or the Valeman as if you didn't know their name or then only knew their full name, it made it so difficult to feel like you actually knew them because it's like you're constantly being removed from them. It was unsettling.
That's fair. It does make me think. I feel like I need to check now between the older books and the newer books, and I wonder if that's also to say like I do notice, especially with the changing landscape of publishing now and writing, like some things you see in older books that would just not fly now.
Well, I wonder also if it's because it ends up being quite a legacy with his books. Like the series goes on quite a bit from the first one. So when Will's first introduced, the first thing they call him is, the Bailman. And so the first thing I think of is Shay and Flick from the first one. So even if I forget what his name is, I still have the legacy from the first book to link that onto. So I'm wondering if he's building on some of that. It's not necessarily the individual; it's the legacy behind it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That would make sense.
Especially you spend a lot of time in Sword.
Yeah. Well,
so
yeah. But the Valemen, the Omsfords, are definitely like the very central family line. Well, because they're the descendants of Shannara, so that's why. And then you get other descendants like Leah's pop up every once in a while. So of course in the first book they're good friend, the really or not friend, depending who you ask, from Leah, Minion Leah. So it's at least with those small pocket areas, you definitely get the legacy of the relationships and such.
Okay.
What is?
I'm not there yet. I haven't seen it yet in the first 60 pages. Is there a strew of epithets that follow? Because I'm telling you, I got the taciturn dwarf being repeated over and over again. It got really old, really fast.
I think he might have done away with that habit because it didn't.
Yeah.
That's one thing that didn't. I can't think of any.
I can't think of any. Except, but constantly Amberly with her child's face. But Amberly
that's true. Yeah, always with the child's face for Amberly.
That was definitely Like, she turned her child's face towards him, her child's face with the rain upon it. I don't know.
Which once again got really unsettling when the dynamic between her and Will started to change, and you're just like, can you stop talking about how she's a child?
And you never get specific ages, but you know Will is above adulthood because he went to live with the Stores when he became a man, when he came of
and
age.
he's been there already for several years. Like,
yeah. So you're like, okay, what age is coming of age of the Veil? We don't know that for sure, but we know he's definitely,
old enough not to have a child's face.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
One thing that I loved, though, was the developing. It's how do I describe it? With Ander. So when you're introduced to Ander, he's the cast off. He's the spare son, right? Like it's Arian
I was
is
gonna
like
say he's almost like the playboy son because he doesn't have to actually have any responsibility, right?
but he's not even a playboy.
True. It's true. Wasted opportunity right there.
Yeah. But like you see like that typical dynamic of like, oh, the first son, the heir, the favorite son, like he can do no wrong. And then the spare is just like, whatever, go do your thing. Yeah. But then it starts to change, like sometimes you get from Evantian's perspective about how he realizes he sees more of himself in Ander than in Arian, like as Ander starts to come out of his shell, is forced out of his shell.
And as Arian starts to be a complete dick.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like Ander has to suddenly like be the one like Ander's the one that has to stand by Amberly, and Ander's the one who has to start like pushing, like, hey guys, this thing is actually happening. These demons.
Yeah. We actually have to do something about this.
Yeah. So, but this, I thought it was really interesting when Evantine realized, like, oh, I see more of myself in him. Oh, like, how did I never really notice this?
I have a really weird question. Caitlin, you're the only one who's going to be able to address this because, Ashley, you're not that far in the book. But the dynamic between Ander and Jans. Am I the only one who kind of wanted to ship them?
Oh my god, I would totally ship them.
Like, I really want to ship them.
Okay, so in terms that Ashley can understand, from the Borderlands is a subgroup of the army called the Free Corps, and they're kind of like the Black Watch from Game of Thrones. They are you get a clean slate, but you're the first one sent in, and you're sent on the suicide mission. So, like, you could be the second son, you could be a thief, you could be whatever. It's all wiped clean, no one asks questions. But you're in the group that basically gets sent to die. And Jans is their commander, and he doesn't die. That man.
Although it threw me off that he was called the Iron Man, because, come on, you're not Iron Man.
Iron Man. Okay, no, wait. Now picture him, Robert Downey Jr. Does it make it works?
It works.
But yeah, there was definitely like Anders, like, I want you to be my commander.
There was just like the constant, like I don't know, just the way that Ander was like idolizing him, and it just it got to the point where I was like, I feel like there's a man crush going on there.
Well, because at the end, so when they lose their commander, he lets Jans be the commander of the Elven army, even though he's a man. And then at the end, he's like, "Where are you going now?" Well, if you want to come back, you always have, you always have a position here. We'll always have you.
But even then, like right at the beginning, like when he was saying that he wanted him as commander and stuff, like it just, they're just. I could have totally been reading too much into it, but it just seemed like there was like a certain aspect there that was just like, I totally ship them.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I didn't think of it until you said it, but yes, I would totally ship that.
Yeah.
Totally ship that. I don't know. What else?
I did like Anders' character arc though, because he did come from like being like the ignored son to the one who actually had to step up, and like along the way there were several points where he was like, I don't know how to do this, guys. Like, I was never taught this. I'm the spare.
Yeah. I read books. I don't know.
And then yeah. And it was interesting too because he kept looking towards Al-Anon and being like, did he know? Because Al-Anon kept like encouraging him.
Al-Anon knows.
And then at the end he even asks, he's like, did you know? And Al-Anon was like, yeah.
Yeah. Of course I did. Please.
Yeah, I knew.
I asked the Druid Shades, and they like totally told me I know everything. So I'm a Druid. He doesn't know everything. He doesn't know what's going to happen when he dies. I do. I know everything.
Oh, I see a minion.
Oh, a minion. Hi, minion.
I'm not usually this low to the floor. Got the whole hand.
Oh. I don't know. I did, and then one really great moment was when the trolls showed up. Because, of course, they send to all of the races asking for help, and most of them, the humans, are like, nope, not our problem. And they're like, we've always been enemies with the trolls, they probably won't come. And then they show up, and I almost started crying. Like, Eventine almost starts crying, because you're just like, yes, someone who's not stupid. Demons in the Westland, not my problem.
Yeah, no kidding, right? It's like, I think it's everybody's problem.
Yeah. All the demons and all the forbidding coming through, not my problem. Your problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I just think speaks to a lot of things about humanity.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
We've heard that before. We hear that now.
Yep.
I don't know. Sorry, I'm fading very quickly.
That's okay. It is 4 a.m. where you are. That's kind of understandable.
Yeah. Because I forgot that time change happened other places, not here. Not till
here
next
either.
week.
If I can explain anything. Doesn't happen here at all.
Yeah, stupid time change. I don't know. Final thoughts, comments, questions, announcements.
I still have like 500 pages to go.
Some page updates.
I'll post the work for the next book.
Okay. I did nominate Steve Jams as the last man standing.
Ooh, I like that.
While humming Last Man Standing by Bon Jovi.
Of course.
So if you can find the song and play that while Steve Jams is fighting, it's perfect.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
no, I did. It's funny because I really I loved the story of, like, I loved the story from the books. I liked the execution of it in the TV series better, but having read the book, there was stuff that I wish was in the TV series. For example, Steve Jans, not in the TV series. Why not?
TV series?
Would have been amazing. Nope. Not there.
It's Peeves all over again. It's Tom Bombadil.
Either that, or he's so minor that I didn't even notice him, which is just as bad, if not worse. Yeah. Yeah. And he could have been so good. They could have totally spun like an Anders Steve Jans. They should have done that. They really should have.
There's so much potential there.
Just saying.
We have to fan this.
Oh yeah, so at the end of yes, oh my gosh, yes. At the end of reading it all, I ended up giving it 3 stars because I did really struggle with the writing style, but I loved the story. So it was a really weird balance because it was like if it had just been described slightly differently. And I am curious because Caitlin, you're saying that Terry Brooks' writing evolves, as it goes. And Ashley, you're saying that Sword was even worse, and there's part of me that's like, oh my god, I'm really glad I didn't read it.
Sword is
See, I don't agree with Ashley at all. I preferred Sword.
Really?
Yeah.
But I was talking to other people
Mixed
who
opinions.
also read
That
it.
so rarely happens.
And it does make a difference if you read it when you're younger because it's written for a younger crowd. So 12-ish is the best age to be approaching the Shannara series.
See, and I'm wondering where you heard that because I have never seen
Okay.
that. Like I know like a lot of people do say that, but I'd never heard that he wrote it for younger.
In the annotated version, he doesn't specifically say that he wrote it specifically for younger people, but he did say that he made adjustments so that anyone could read it.
Yeah, because I have the annotated, but I just didn't. I have all the versions.
Okay.
I have the Swedish version. Yeah.
But no, that makes sense if he actually went out of his way to try and make it more accessible to younger readers, then that makes sense. That would kind of compromise it a bit for people who approach it later on.
I think that's where a lot of the repetition comes
Because
in.
then,
Yeah.
And that would explain a lot of his leading. The repetition and the leading, like the constantly telling us, like, what the characters were feeling and, like, what they were thinking in so much depth.
There's not a lot of abstract.
Yeah, I can see where that would. Yeah. A lot of telling.
There we go. We all disagree for once.
Well, again, I only count like 1/12 of the book.
Yeah. Review pending.
But so far, it looks like it's doing better for me than Sword.
There you go. And then there's
So that
Wish
is promising.
Song. Oh, Wish Song.
If I get to that, it'll be a long time from now because I have so many things to read and so little time.
Yeah. Speaking of, next read.
It really is.
Next month's read.
Next read. Okay.
So
I'm gonna just say, like, right from the beginning, disregard the cover, guys, because the cover is kind of ridiculous. I know it makes it look horribly cheesy. Really? Oh, that makes me really happy. Because I actually didn't read this book for a while because the cover was so over dramatic and girl in fluffy skirts, and I had trouble taking it seriously based on the cover. And then I got it on sale and absolutely loved it and waited eagerly for the second one and absolutely loved that. And now the third one is coming out and I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I swear, it's way better than the cover makes it look. Oh, and for the title, it's The Winner's Curse by Marie Rutkowski. I probably should say that.
Thank you. I was going to say, I couldn't remember the author, so that. And you have 5 weeks for that one. So
yes, she's got an unconventional last name.
Yeah.
5 weeks, and it's not that long. I don't actually know how many pages it is. Let me see if it says. It does not say, because I have the Kindle version on here. I have the paper version back home, but...
Sorry, Ashley?
So if I start that now, I should be able to finish it and get back to Elfstones before the next meeting.
Sorry.
Theoretically. And then life will happen. So
probably, yes.
April 20th.
Of course. Oh, life.
Someone really wants your attention.
Always.
My cat does the same thing. Mom! Mom! That's what you do when your brain has yet to develop processing. Just... yeah. Cool. So, okay. April 24th, I will post things, not right away, But this week,
When it's
I
not
will-
for
No, get some sleep.
and I'm not technically on vacation.
Yes,
It's not vacation. It's a working vacation. Who am I kidding?
true.
I've been working all weekend.
But still, you're in Paris.
Yes. Yes, that is true. I have had much bread. I have 2 full baguettes around the corner.
Good. Bread, wine, cheese.
I have no fridge, so I have no cheese, and I'll get that tomorrow.
Yes.
Cool. Winter's Curse, April 24th. Check out the Goodreads and all the links that I will post below later this week.
Yay, we're back!
Unless you're watching this later this week. Yes, yes, we're back. It continues.
Yay!
Woo. Party in our libraries. Okay. Go read things, people who do not have to go to bed.
All the things.
Bye.